This is Paradoxical Descriptions of Divine Beings by Tiago Garcia, advisors Baki Mamtora and Brian Nakamura. So, imagine you go to Japan and there you see this goddess called Amaterasu. Amaterasu is great. She's the leader of all the kami. She's the ruler of the heavens, and she's feminine without being feminized. She's essentially the queen of Japan, and she's an example for goddesses all around the world. But she's not the only one. If you read this book called the Kohiki, which is sort of like the Japanese Bible, then you'll read about Heaven Shining. Now, Heaven Shining is a female samurai. A female samurai. She has a quiver with 1,000 arrows. She once defeated that heaven from Susanoo, and she's pretty much Mulan if she was a goddess. So it's amazing that the Japanese have these two gods, right? Well, surprise! Turns out they're the same one. But how? One is a queen and the other is a warrior. How could this be the same? Well, that's exactly what I wanted to know. I looked all around the world and I found 9 other descriptions that are like these ones, which I separated into 3 different categories by theme. Well, 9 is a lot, so I'm going to only share 2 of them with you and hope you get the idea. Okay, let's go to the first one, Mieliki. So this story comes from the Kalevala, which was written in Finland, and it tells how Mieliki was just hanging out in her home, and suddenly some guy arrived and told her that her clothes suck and that she needed new ones. Now think about this for a moment. This is A mortal, and B, telling her that she needs to change her clothes. This guy is just asking to get smitten. But no, what happens is that Mieliki turns around, goes home, throws away her old rags, puts on a nice dress, and becomes Mieliki, mistress of the forest. And now that she's the mistress of the forest, the guy starts changing his tune. So what happened? This was still a goddess. Well, turns out that even you need to dress appropriately, even if you are a god. And this lesson appears also in Quetzalcoatl in Mexico, whom nobody would take seriously until he wore the mask, and in Ogun in Yorubaland. So, for number 2, Krishna. So, this story comes from the Bhagavad Gita, which is from India. And who's Krishna? Well, this is Krishna. Isn't he cute? Well, technically, Krishna is also an avatar of Vishnu, which is himself like the entire universe, but for most people, this is Krishna. So Krishna grows up and eventually he becomes the friend of mentor, this hero called Arjuna. Now Arjuna knows that Krishna is a god, so he asks him if he can see his god form, which Krishna obliges. Now considering that Vishnu is quite a pretty god and the universe is generally nice, Arjuna expects being of infinite beauty. Instead, he gets this, with its many legs, many heads, and whatever is going on here. Now, Arjuna is quite shocked by this, and why wouldn't he? After this, this is Krishna, right? No, this is not Krishna. This is just an illusion so that Krishna can interact with humans without them panicking. Now, learning that things are not what they seem is really, really hard, but it's one of the main lessons of the Bhagavad Gita. So at the end of all this, Arjuna is actually quite thankful for the lesson, and Krishna is quite thankful for how he took it so well, and everybody benefits. And that's the lesson, that descriptions as odd as this one are actually trying to teach you something. This also happens in the Dante's Paradiso, when God becomes just a bunch of wings, and in Ezekiel 1, where God becomes whatever on earth this is. So I have another 7 descriptions I would like to talk about, but I'm running out of time. So let's go back to Japan and reveal that I'm cheated by not telling you the entire story. The story is that Susanoo, the kami of the sea, decided that he didn't like the sea anymore and decided to go visit her sister in heaven. Now what Susanoo forgot is that this is actually an act of war. So when Amaterasu, ruler of the heavens, heard that this was happening, she quickly decided that being a queen right now wasn't as good as being a warrior. So she became a warrior in order to face off the invaders. Now once Susanoo arrived and things got a little bit cleared out, she changed back as Susanoo meant no evil. So they're the same god after all, just in different modes. But that's not too important. What's most important is that Amaterasu would rather just be peaceful, and she changes back as soon as she can. But in the examples of war, she needs to wear the appropriate clothes, just like Mieliki. And she also teaches an important lesson about responding to duty to the Japanese people, just like Krishna teaches a lesson. So for all these gods, and after doing all this research, what's the thesis? It's simple. God's dress not like they want, but like they need. And that's the most important lesson. Thank you very much.